What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Charles Wells, aka C Wells, the host of SWAC Talk, the show where we cover the inside and out. Coming at you with another of the SWAC Talk Time Machine this year. This time we'll take a trip to the year 2004 to revisit the SWAC championship game between Alabama State and Southern. Before we do that, let's go ahead and throw out the socials: Facebook.com/SWACTalk, Twitter.com/SWACTalk76, Instagram.com/SWACTalk, and SWACTalk76@gmail.com is the email address. Swag Talk is a podcast first and foremost. You can check that out on anchor.fm/Swag Talk. Also can be seen on Spotify, heard on Spotify, Stitcher, Breaker, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Um, Go ahead and check that out. We doing our spring season recaps. This Sunday we cover Mississippi Valley. We also have a YouTube video on the Delta Devils coming up on Sunday. While you're here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the video, share them, comment on any video that you want. I'll jump in and respond. I love to respond to comments. Um, Hit that notification bell so you can be alerted to any content that I upload because drop videos at random intervals. Mainly, I do a scheduled show on Wednesday and Sunday, but I will drop videos on random days if something pops off in my mind or anything newsworthy. So let's talk about 2004. Alabama State won the East Division with a 6-1 record overall. Alabama A&M 7-4 overall with a 5-2 conference record. Alcorn 4-3 with a 7-4 record overall. Jackson State 3-4, 4-7 overall. Mississippi Valley 1-6, 3-8 overall. Southern won the West 6-1 with an 8-4 overall record. Pine Bluff 5-2, 6-5, 6-3 overall. Grambling 3-4, 6-5 overall. Prairie View 1-6, 3-8 overall, and Texas Southern was 0-7, 0-8, 0-11 overall. So obviously, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Texas Southern still is on a losing streak. Alabama State opened up their season with a 27-12 victory over Howard. They beat Texas Southern 55-15. They beat Alcorn 41-8. They lost Southern 42-41 in a game that Southern came from behind in the fourth quarter by being down 20 points. Came from behind to win. Jackson State lost to Alabama State 28-6. The Hornets beat Prairie View 42-20. They beat Alabama A&M 24-20 in the Magic City Classic. They beat Grambling 37-23. They beat Valley 34-6. They lost to Tuskegee 17-27 in the Turkey Day Classic. They beat Pine Bluff 21-14, and they beat Southern in the SWAC championship game 40-35. Really good season for the Hornets. One of their better seasons in quite some time. Southern came into this season losing to McNeese 35-17. They beat Valley 17-14. They beat Prairie View 42-12. They lost to South Dakota State 31-24. They beat Alabama State 42-41. They beat Alabama A&M 33-24. They beat Jackson State 45-7. They beat Alcorn 23-20 in another wild affair that Southern had to come from behind to win. They blocked a field goal and returned it for a touchdown to seal the game. Texas College lost to Southern 50-17. Texas Southern was defeated by Southern 28-0. Southern lost the Bayou Classic to Grambling 24-13, and then they lost the SWAC championship game 40-35. So two good seasons. Both teams were led by really good quarterbacks. Tavares Jackson, may he rest in peace, was a tremendous quarterback for Alabama State. He transferred in from Arkansas a couple years before this. He was definitely a guy who could run and throw. Had some success in the NFL. Got a bit of burn in the league. He definitely did a good job of leading the Hornets. Him and Keldrick Williams made a good backfield duo. Williams was a tremendous runner. He didn't have the best of games in this game as far as yardage goes, but he did set a SWAC championship record with 4 touchdowns on the ground, which definitely kept Alabama in this game. Southern was led by Thomas Ricks. He ran for over 100 yards. He passed for over 300 yards. He had 3 touchdowns passing. Now, when you hit those numbers, and he also ran for 2 touchdowns. So if you when you hear those numbers, you thinking, hey, that's a dub. Quarterback ran for over 100 yards, threw for over three, five total touchdowns. The problem, four interceptions and two fumbles by the so that overs that really did Southern in. Alabama State defense did a great job of forcing turnovers, and the Hornets took advantage of that, especially in the second half when they scored the bulk of their points. The score was 14-7 at half. So second half, both teams were hot. Alabama State actually missed the extra point and a 2-point conversion that put them at that 40-point threshold. But Southern led the bulk of this game. Like I said, they led 14-7 at the half. They led 21-14 at one point, 28-21, and then Alabama State tied it up, and then Southern took the lead again. Antonio Overstreet, wide receiver from Southern, had a tremendous game, over 100 yards receiving, three touchdowns, which was a SWAC championship game record at that point. So there was a lot of records being set in this game. This was definitely an offensive game, and just like the first matchup between the two teams, both teams put up a ton of points. This time, turnovers did Southern in. Southern didn't really have much of a running game outside of Thomas Ricks, who I feel like he'd had more time at Southern. He probably would be more known by most people as a good quarterback at Southern. He had basically played 1 year starting, and then that was it for him. His senior year, 2004, and then he was gone. But I thought he did a good job of being a dual threat guy, and they gave Alabama State a lot of fits with five receiver sets, and then him running quarterback draws and quarterback powers. And like I said, in a lot of ways, his game is similar to Skelton, but he's not as shifty of a guy. And since they didn't have any kind of read option, anything like that at that point, that his running game was different. But they had a really powerful running game when Still Adams was healthy. He was a big bruising back. Went to Southern Miss, transferred to Southern. Him and Ricks made a good duo. They both were big runners. Um, Gerald Henderson was a Gerald Holmes, excuse me, was a guy who was a smaller, shifty back, and he definitely got things going on the outside. He had a really good season before the injury took him down. Southern was kind of limited with what they could do on the ground, so Alabama State was able to take advantage of that in the second half, and those interceptions that happened in the second half really hurt Southern a lot. Alabama State finally got over that hump. They were the first team from the SWAC East to win a championship at this point, and they had been two previous times. They lost to Southern in 2003, and then they lost to Grambling in 2001. So they really had built themselves up to be a really solid program and a championship contender year in and year out. They finally was able to get over that hump against Southern, which was a team that their senior class had not beat before this game. So this game meant a lot, excuse me, to both teams, but it really meant the world for Alabama State. They needed this to get that monkey off their back, and they took all Southern's punches, and it was a nice, second half was what you want from a championship game. If you were into points, is what you want from a championship game. Lots of offense, big plays, guys, trying to take over the game and get it done. Defense is standing up when they need to, and that was, this game kind of turned a little bit in the third quarter. Alabama State had the ball, threw a nice Tavares Jackson threw a nice pass. Receiver went up, stretched out. He was 6'6". He stretched completely out horizontally. Caught the ball. His knee hit the ground as the ball was coming out. They ruled it an incomplete pass. If they scored that touchdown now, the score would have been 14-7, 14-14. And who knows what would happen from that point. They waved it off. The next ensuing play, Tavares Jackson tried to scramble out of pressure, put the ball on the ground to balance himself, and he fumbled. Southern got the ball and drove and scored in about 5 plays to take a 21-7 lead at that point. So that's the kind of thing that turned games around. But Alabama State was able to be consistent and vigilant and keep fighting and put themselves in the opportunity to win this game. So I really recommend that you check this game out if you get an opportunity. Um, As I always say, this game, like many others, could be found on Alex Hines' YouTube channel. And he got it all, man. When it comes to games, HBCU games, he's the GOAT. So check his channel out. I don't have no affiliation, but I recognize his work, and I've seen his grind start from way back and get to this point. So if he don't got it, nobody got it. So go ahead and check that out. Watch this game if you get an opportunity. It was a very fun game, especially the second half. This game was actually broke up in the first half and second half. So if you want to just see the good part, check out the second half. And that's gonna do it for this show. We'll be back on Sunday as we recap the season of the Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils, and we'll also have a podcast covering the Delta Devils. And then our next episode of SWACTalk Time Machine will be on Wednesday when we cover the 2007 SWAC championship game when Jackson State got their first SWAC championship game victory in their first appearance since 1999 as they beat Grambling to win that championship. And we're just gonna keep on moving like this. This machine is gonna keep on hopping through time and moving here and moving now. And we're gonna continue to cover the SWAC as only we can do. So I really appreciate everybody being here and thank you for the love and support. And we'll see you guys on Sunday. We out.